we'll start with the intro, then we'll go into the workshop. Who are we? So we're a community of gamers and game developers, and people who are just interested in either of those things. We hosting GDC workshops, assorted kind of workshops. We have different experience in IMA classes and stuff we've taught ourselves. So if you want to learn something related to game development, just let us know what you want to learn, and that could inspire a workshop. We'll be doing game nights based on request in which game. It can be whenever. Guest speakers, I actually have one that I have to message, so we will get at least one this semester. And I think Professor Beckman had a couple people who may or may not be interested, but we'll see. And then we have connections to video game clubs at large universities, which I completely recommend. They have a lot more experienced workshops, which and a lot more people to work on them. And they have pitch groups where you can like create a game together, and other things like game jams, which are competitions where you make games. It's a great way to quickly learn how to make a game and then compete or just present the game. The ones we are partnerships with right now are UCI, CSUF, LCAD, and I post another like some that I see at SGDA and a couple that I get messages about. So just look out for those and partner announcements. We have resources from past workshops in our resources channel, and feel free to showcase your work in anywhere in the Discord. So when are our meetings? They will be every other week, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. That is what we've decided based on a when to meet. But we can change this if you are really not great with this time and date and you're really excited to be able to attend these meetings. We want more people. So we'll be glad, like, let us know and we'll try to figure it out if we can move it around. Um, what else? Oh, yeah, and we'll announce it in our announcements channel. Oh, right now is a good time for everyone to let us know in chat or yeah, either in chat or aloud how you guys feel about going back in person. Uh, ICC right now hasn't said anything about whether or not we're going to be completely transitioning back in person yet, but we're likely to get an answer about that throughout the rest of the semester. So it's something we're considering. It would be in a classroom setting. We could arrange it to be outside. We were just talking about this, but it's all going to be determined and announced. But how do you guys feel? I had to go check the chat.
Um, yeah, I put in the chat that I want to do in person. It's really boring at home.
Okay.
I agree with whoever said that. I really, really need to. I have like this like tendency, I have to be social with people. I don't like being like cooped up. I'm not an introvert. I am very extroverted, and I like seeing faces. It's better for me to communicate with people that way.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. I want to go back in person, especially when our classes are moving back in person. It'll be nice to at least try the change. And for people who live far away, I understand because I know like a few people who now have moved. We're gonna try to figure out if we can do some sort of live thing. So it might not be great quality, but I'll try it because it doesn't feel fair for people who can't make it to, not give that opportunity. So hopefully that works. I'll check the chat in a bit, see how you guys feel about that. All right, continuing. So to become a club member, if you're new, go to the newcomer info channel and fill out the form, give yourself roles. I'm going to be adding some roles in there throughout the semester because I want to be able to allow people to get notified about partner announcements if they're really interested in that. And you can be an IVC student, Saddleback, UCI, LCAD, CSUF, a trusted friend of any of those, or an alumni to be in the server. And if we move back in person, I'm not sure how ICC has their rules for that, but it may just be IVC students. So we might have to figure out how that's going to work, but we'll send further messages about that. But we have the right to kick anyone from the club if they break an IVC code of conduct. And we are recruiting for our fall board of this year. Since a lot of people will be leaving by the end of this semester, we're going to be left with few board members. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a president slot yet, but we'll see. Um, and so, yeah, just message me, Ali, our other vice president, or Hunter if you are interested in that, and we'll schedule an interview. We have club links. All of these can be found on our resources channel. Yep, just in everything on here. And thanks. You guys have any questions? If you want to introduce yourself? Yep.
I guess I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Devin. Pronouns he him, and my main field is like animation, like that's my bread and butter, but I kind of just want to learn as much about game stuff as I possibly can because, jack of all trades, yada yada yada.
Well, thank you, Devin. And yes, Devin is great with art and animation, at least from what I've seen from being in a class with him. So if you guys need artwork for your games, just send him a message. Let me check the chat. Everyone good? Okay, cool. And I had a few things that I wanted to mention before we go on is that with the game design certificate that is at IVC, just wanted to let everybody know that the rules of what you need to have in order to get that certificate has changed. It is now, I think it's 4 IMA classes and then the portfolio class. Is that correct, Ms. Beckman?
That is correct. Any 4 IMA classes are the prerequisite for taking a portfolio class. And we have a great class, I think 12 students right now, creating some projects that are really outstanding. And I welcome you to come see the portfolio class and watch sometime if you want.
And also, if you haven't taken an IMA class before, they're great. A lot of them are related to art-related animation stuff, and a lot of stuff to game development. So it's a fun thing if you're looking into getting the certificate or just to learn a little bit. So check that out. And then next week, we're going to UCI is going to be having a bunch of speakers come to their Discord. I think they're presenting online. I'm not sure if it's hybrid. They'll send more information about it today, and I'll post it. But that will be really helpful because they'll be having way more speakers than we'll be having, and they're all super professional. So look out for that. And now Hunter.
Hello, how is everybody doing? I hope you're all good. Just give me
Fantastic.
1 second. You're fantastic. Good. Just give me 1 second. I hate Windows because it forced updated and I have to open everything back up. So just give me 2 seconds and I
Oh,
will
I hate
get
when
back
that
on my.
happens.
I know. It was like for no reason.
3 seconds. 4 seconds. 5 seconds. You want me to keep going?
Yes. Well, I might
Give
as
me
well
a
give you
shot.
I might as well give you a summary of what I'm going to be doing today with you. Today we're going to be learning C++ by coding a game. And today we're going to be using SDL2. If you didn't get a chance to download that, actually, unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to actually go over how to get everything set up. But this meeting is being recorded, so fortunately, you can just go back and rewatch everything that we're doing. Today, how many of you guys have heard of what's it called? You know that Dino game from Chrome when your internet just doesn't work?
Oh,
Yeah,
that
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
was one of the simplest games that I could find that we can make that isn't Pong, because Pong's great and it teaches you like all of the basics of what you would need to know in order to make a game without a game engine, but like it's boring, you know? So I thought that the Dino game would be a little more fun, hopefully, but we shall see. Just give me 1 more second.
Don't be dissing Pong, man.
Also, I'm
I'm
really
not
sorry,
dissing
Hunter,
Pong.
because I'm recording. I'm not gonna be able to follow along. because then everyone will see what I'm doing and it's gonna be confusing. So
That's fine.
I just realized that now.
No, it's okay. Okay, this better work. 1 second. Huh. Okay, now it's saying that a file can't be found. I hate Windows.
Take your time.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Okay, in the meantime, hey Professor Beckman, how have the IMA classes been going?
You know, I am overjoyed because the classes have been getting better every year. It just seems to be a student who really wants to study it now when in comparison to when we began the program, not many people knew about it and it was more curiosity. So yeah, the classes are going great and we've had some time to um, cultivate them a bit. And I'm constantly trying to keep up with people in the field as to what we should be studying. So it's been really interesting.
Out of curiosity, when did the IMA program begin?
It began in 2012.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I've had to fight the administration since then because they all thought I was teaching animation and Photoshop. I mean, they had no idea what we were learning and teaching. So
Oh, look
it's,
how far they've grown now.
yeah, yeah, they kind of know what's going on. Um, yeah, and I had sent them countless descriptions. And even when I got tenure, my dean said, "Yeah, this is Pat. I don't know what she does, but congratulations on getting tenure." And it was just, ah. So, being able to show the great work you guys do and where folk have been going after this has really helped.
Very
Honestly,
nice.
it's so cool. Like I've heard people come from Saddleback now in order to specifically to be able to do the game the game classes here because they aren't offered
Oh,
any place nearby.
well, that's good to hear. I wonder how they hear about the classes.
Me too.
That's great news. I love hearing that.
Yeah, my counselor didn't even know that they existed last semester. So
No. Oh
yeah.
my God. I can't tell you. I even sent them gifts of chocolate and candies. I can't believe they don't know who we are.
Aw.
Oh, that's depressing. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you found us.
Yeah. Honestly, I am too. Speaking of, like, what are you guys all majoring in while we're still waiting for Hunter's computer?
I'm ready, but whenever
Ready?
you're
Oh
whenever you're done.
yes, yes. We are ready.
Okay, let me share my screen. All right, share my screen. Here we go. Location, this. Okay, can you guys see me?
I can see a screen, but not you.
I mean, not me, but like my screen.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
I didn't know
cool.
the screen. Oh, that's what you look like, Hunter.
Yes, I'm a void. Sorry for the delay. So today we're gonna make that dino game. So the prerequisites were to have SDL image, and SDL TTF. But if you don't have that, that's fine. You can just follow along. Okay, so first off, when you're making an SDL game, of course, you need to include the libraries that I already did here. SDL.h, image, and TTF. SDL image, this is what we're going to use to actually render images like PNGs onto our window. And TTF, that stands for true font, true type font. That's one of the popular methods that you can render fonts. Um, SDL originally wasn't built to render fonts, so SDL.ttf, this is like an extension library. Same with SDL.image. Okay, so first, oh, I had a little note right here too, just in case I didn't know how many of you were actually really proficient in C++. So I gave like some little notes. Um, like for example, if you're used to only using angle brackets when you include things, that's for when you're finding a file that's in your system directory. And right here, you can see that I'm using quotations. That means it's gonna look for it's gonna look through my local file first because that's where it is in if it doesn't find it in there, it's gonna look through my system directory. Okay, so anyway, first what we need to do to start SDL is we're gonna need to initiate it. So what we can do, we can make an if statement, type in SDL underscore init for initiate. And then at the parameter, we're gonna type in SDL underscore init underscore video. And if that's basically that function, it's going to return a value. And if it's any bigger than 0, that means we have a problem. But if it is 0, that means it initiated all fine. So if it is bigger than 0, we're going to type out a little warning. We're going to say cout, oh no, SDL init fail. And SDL also has a feature where it can tell you what kind of error you're having. So it has this function called SDL underscore get error. This is going to return, or this is going to print out the latest error that it found. And we can just end that with an end line. And now to get it out of the way, we can initiate image. So the same process, if this time this function that we're about to use is going to return a true or false instead of just like a random value. So we can do not, if not, image underscore init, and the parameter for that is going to be image underscore init underscore PNG, since we're going to be uploading PNGs today. So if that returns false or null or whatever, again, we can print out an error message. See, whoops. See how, let's just say something like image dot, whoops, and it failed in all caps to let us know the urgency. And we also want to print out the error that it's print out for that. So same thing, SDL underscore get error, CD, end line. Also, we're gonna need to always at the end of your application, when you're using SDL, you have to clean up after yourself. So in this case, since the only thing we did was initiate SDL, type in SDL underscore quit. Don't forget this. This is gonna clean up all the initializations on your subsystem. So let me build that to make sure nothing went wrong. Something went wrong. Oh, that's fine. I have other files in here, and it's just saying that, oh no, I can't find them because you just arbitrarily put them in a folder that I don't want. So, let me just, 1 second, let me just go in there and delete those files since I really don't need them. Just in case, because this is I never really share my screen. So just in case, can you guys only see my Visual Studio? Can you see anything else that's open?
Just the video studio, yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, that should have worked. Sorry about all the technical difficulties.
You are all good, Hunter.
All right, let's move on. Since we're not getting any visuals yet. So now what we need to do, we need to open a window so we can actually play our game on top of it. Since of course we can't play in the console. So what we can do, we can create a new item. Let's make a header file. And throughout this project, what I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to make the entire game in one file, like in main, only because it's not that clean to me. I like to stay organized and I like to keep everything, I like to keep everything separate from each other, just so I can find what I need when I need it. So let's make render.h. And just in case you don't know, if you're not used to writing with files, this right here is called pragma ones. This is just like a guard to prevent header files from being included multiple times. Because when you do something like pound include, you're essentially copying that entire file into another file. So since we don't want to copy and paste the same code multiple times, since that's very inefficient, we use things like pragma ones and header guards. So what we need in here, we need to include SDL.h. So let's make a class. I'm going to name mine render. This is going to handle rendering things onto our window. So let's make a constructor. Render. We're going to pass in a constant char pointer. This is just a C style pointer. I'm only using C style pointers because the functions that we're going to be using, they want those as parameters. And this const char is going to be the name of the window. So we can call this window name. And it's going to want the width and the height of the window. Oh, and I spelled it wrong. There we go. A little constructor, since we are going to have to be cleaning up after ourselves. And for our private members, we're going to make an SDL underscore window pointer. This is going to be the pointer to the actual window that's going to display our screen, or display our game rather. SDL underscore render pointer. Render. The render is going to be responsible for rendering our textures onto the screen. So now that we have the basic setup for our header file, we can add the source file. So I'm going to go into add, new item. It's going to be a C++ file. It's going to be render. And I can see that I spelled render wrong in the H file, but that's fine. I can change that. I'm going to include our rendering. I spelled that very wrong. 1 second. Or it's fine.
Wait, is that supposed to say rendering?
Yes, I can't spell. Just pretend it says renderer.
Okay.
Renderer. Okay. So now when you're, just in case you're not used to writing your classes into 2 separate files, when we do this, if you need to access one of the methods that you've declared, but that you haven't initiated yet, you do render : which is a scope resolution operator. This is going to help us get access to our stuff. Here's our constructor. and it wants the parameters. So let me just copy those and paste. Also, let's do the same for our destructor just to get it out of the way. And I'll show you what we're going to be putting in the destructor in a second. Also, I should also initialize these to null pointer, just in case it tries to use these pointers and they're not initialized to anything, then they're just going to give us garbage. So now inside of our constructor, what we're going to do, we're going to create a window. So we can do window equals, and we're going to use this function SDL provided us called SDL underscore
Okay.
create window. And we're going to pass in our name for the first parameter. If I can spell it. And for the second parameter, it wants the desired X position of the window. I really don't care where the window goes. So I'm just going to use this flag called SDL window pose, as in positioned, undefined, which means I really don't care where you put it. And the next parameter, it wants the Y position of the window. Same thing. I don't care. So you can type in SDL window pose, as in position underscore undefined. Next, it wants the width of our window and the height. And next it wants a flag, which is for if you want to do something special with your window, like if you're using another graphics API like OpenGL or Vulkan or whatever. We're not going to be doing anything fancy like that for this, so we just want to make sure that our window is going to be shown. So we can use the flag STL underscore window underscore shown. And that created a pointer for our window. Now we need to do error checking, just like when we initialized SDL. So if window is equal to null pointer, whoops, which means it didn't initialize, we can just print out another warning or error in all caps, just so we know it's serious. Window has failed to initiate. Error, colon, and it's going to print out the error that it found. SDL underscore, oops, get error. And it's giving me those little red squigglies because I never included IOStream. That's what it needs to print things out to the console. There we go. And now we need to create a render so we can draw things. So we can go render equals SDL underscore create render. This is the function that will give us a pointer. So the first parameter is where they want us to render to, and we want things to render to our window. So we can type in the window that we just created. The next parameter is the index to the graphics driver you want to use. I don't want to mess with that today. So we can just type in -1. This is just going to tell it to use the first driver that it finds that it would need for drawing. The third parameter, if there's a graphics card available on your machine, we're going to tell it to use the best one it can so it can play our game as fast as it possibly can. So we can do, for that, the flag is SDL underscore render underscore accelerated. Or also, excuse me, we can do this we can use this bitrise operator. This means or. This will tell it another condition. I personally really like VSync. If you don't know what VSync or vertical sync is, this will allow our rendering to update at the same time as our monitor's refresh rate. So this will help us in the long run since we won't need to use delta time if you've made a game and your refresh rate was not consistent and you needed to use a delta time variable to multiply it to all of your calculations. If we use vsync, we don't need to do that. So we can do SDL underscore render underscore present vsync. This will tell it if vsync is available, use it. Now in our destructor, this is important because again, when I said we have to clean up after ourselves, that's serious because if we don't, then we'll get nasty memory leaks and that's not good. So in order to destroy, we need to be able to destroy our window and our render. So to destroy it, there's a SDL function called SDL underscore destroy window. We can just pass in our window. Also, SDL underscore destroy render. Whoops. We can pass in our render. All right. Now, unfortunately, again, my computer decided to be stupid. So I'm gonna have to do some tweaks to be able to run this properly. But is just to ask, is anybody following along? Because if so, if you run this, your window should pop up and then it'll immediately disappear. That's because we didn't actually tell our program to have the window stay put. It's just going to create it and destroy it as fast as it possibly can. We don't want that. So what we can do, well, first and foremost, let's include the render or the whatever word that I tried to type rather. We can go on our main underneath all the initializations. We can do render. Let's name it window, just because it's simple. Let's name the window. The name of the window is what you see on the top of your window, the name of it. I'll show you in a second. So I'm gonna name mine Dino Game. And the width of it, let's make it 1280 by 720. Also, in order to tell it to not disappear immediately, we need to make a game loop. So let's make a bool, name it is running. This will be responsible for controlling when our game loop ends. Our game loop is going to be a simple while loop. So we're going to say while is running. And we also need to make another while loop. Also, I forgot. We also need something that can keep track of all of the events that happen, as in the inputs that the user types in. So we can do SDL underscore event. Let's name it event. Now in the second while loop, we can type in while. So to poll events, there's a function called SDL underscore whole event. Let's pass in a reference of our event. And let's say if event, dot type is equal to something called SDL underscore quit. SDL underscore quit, that's essentially when you hit the X on your window, that's going to close it. So when you hit the X, is running, it's equal to false. And that's going to make sure your window stays open until you close it. So now that we have a window, now we actually want to draw our textures to it. So in our render class, let's add something. Let's make a method that has a return value of XDL texture pointer. Let's name it load texture. And again, it's going to it's going to take in a C style string, so const char. And let's name this path, since we're going to have to tell it what path it needs to take to be able to get to our texture in your directory. So what a texture is, textures for SDL are created on the GPU. So what we want to do, we want to return a pointer when we create one. Let me show you what I mean by that. So back in our CPP file, now we just do SDL underscore texture pointer render our scope resolution operator and load texture. Type in the path or the parameter. Okay, so what we're going to do in here, we're going to make a texture pointer. Let's name it texture. This is what we're going to be returning. So in order to create, or in order to load a texture onto our render, there's a function for that. It's called img underscore, load texture. And what we need to do, we need to pass in our renderer and our path. This will load our texture onto the GPU. Also, you see how this is squiggled out? That's because this is included in our SDL image.lib or .h. So let me include that SDL underscore image.h. So now that it has access to that, that error went away. Oops. Now we're going to return our texture. Now, your first thought, if you're thinking about memory, is that if you're passing down a pointer that's created within a scope, once the scope runs out, usually like a regular pointer would, be destroyed, and if you tried to return it, you would get garbage. You would get an error. But this time, what textures do, they use VRAM, and it's a really complicated actually, because I can never actually find as much information as I want as possible or as necessary. But basically, SDL, they're handling the pointer for you. Like I don't know where exactly it goes other than is the texture is being loaded onto the GPU. So basically all we need to really take care of is loading it and destroying it when we're finished with it. So now we can go back to our main. Now that we have to get our texture. And under our render, let's go SDL texture. Let's name it Dino. It's going to be equal to window dot load texture. And now you have to type in the path. I recommend keeping all of your assets in the same directory as all of your programming stuff because it's easier to find. Also, if you ever need to share this with other people, they need to be able to find it too. So I kept all of my resources in a resource folder. So what I need to do is I need to type in res because I named the folder res slash and the name of the asset in the folder, which I believe is called dino run dot png. Okay, now that we're able to actually load it, now we need a way to draw it and present it onto our screen. So we have to once again go back to our renderer class, and we're going to add 3 more functions. One is going to be a void. Let's call it, let's call it draw, I guess. SDR. It's going to take in a texture pointer. Let's make another one called void present. And that's going to be a constant since I don't want it to actually change any of our member values. And void clear. And you'll see what these do in a second. So under our load texture back into our source file, need to add these in. Whoops, I cannot spell. Render. What did I name this? Render. What? No, this is draw. Sorry about that. Draw. What were the parameters that I gave it? I gave it a SDL image. Let's copy that and paste that in. Now what this is going to do, this is going to use a function called SDL underscore render copy. This takes in a render, a texture, and the next 2 parameters, these are important. These are going to be the viewable portions of your texture. Basically, if you're using a sprite sheet that has all of the sprites and all of the frames that you want on just one file, what you can do, you can access the actual individual sprites on that sprite sheet using these last 2 parameters. All you need to do is give it the X and the Y position on the sprite sheet, and you need to give it a destination. A destination is where exactly you want it to be rendered on top of your window. Right now, I'm I'm just gonna type in no pointer for now because I want our texture to just take up the entire screen. No pointer, no pointer. And now our present, so void render present. And remember, this is a const. If you don't know what const means, basically any member of the class that you use, this const is just going to prevent it from being changed at all. Like if you have an integer and if you let's say your integer is I. If you try to initiate it to any, if you try to set the value to anything else, as in 10, it's not going to let you do that. It's going to say, hey, this is const, nothing is supposed to be changed. And in this case, I want that. But in the other functions that I made, I can't make it const because our members have to be changed. Like we sent in the value, the pointer, the address to our renderer to this render copy. It needs to be able to change that in order to render things to this ring. So anyway, now we need to do SDL underscore render present. Oops. This is going to tell it to display what our renderer has and present it to the back button. Now, last but not least, clear. This is going to clear the screen so we can make room for the new frame. In order to do that, we need SDL underscore render clear. And again, we need to pass in our render. Okay. Now back to main. Inside our while loop, the main while loop, not the nested one for the poll events. We're gonna call those functions we made. So we need window dot. First, we're gonna clear the screen so it can be a blank canvas for whatever else we want to draw. We're gonna type in render dot draw. This is gonna draw our texture, and let's pass in the dinosaur texture that we gave it or that we loaded. And now we need window dot present. This is going to present what we made on the screen. So let me actually show you in the meantime what my sprite sheet looks like so you can have a visual. How would I? Hey, Nicolette, are you still here?
I'm here.
I need help. How do
Yes.
you, how are you able to show other windows on when you're
On Discord.
yes.
So you go to share your screen, and I think you should be able to select whether or not you share. I'm trying to
Oops.
remember because I'm like, I can't move. Actually, I can move this. Let me see. Share screen, and you go to screens, and then you share screen one, and then go live.
Can
If
you see
that.
the sprite sheet?
Oh yeah, we can see it.
This is the sprite sheet. It's adorable and I stole it. So basically, this is a
Look at that.
oh, sorry. I didn't steal it. I don't advocate theft. This is a 352 by 94 sprite sheet. And yes, the measurements are important because when you are using a sprite sheet, again, what I said, you want to be able to take the exact sprite that you want off of the sprite sheet, and that means you need to know its exact position, its X and Y. Fortunately, this sprite sheet is very, very simple since the little dinosaurs are sequentially laid out only on the X axis, meaning that they're not on top of each other or below each other, so we only need to keep up with where they are on the X. The Y will always be 0. So now I have to figure out how to get this off the screen. I'm just gonna stop streaming. And I'm gonna stream again with my, where is it? Here it is. Visual Studio.
We can now see your Visual Studio.
Yay, thank you. I needed that.
Yeah, I
So now,
assume.
okay, now actually, um, give me 1 second. I just need to fix one thing because I remember my computer did something weird and now my files are kind of messed up. And so my program won't actually run. So right, I'm just give me 1 second. I'm gonna make a new one since that's the only thing I can think of. In the meantime, 1 second. I can't finish that thought while I'm trying to. Well, I'm gonna stop screen sharing my screen. Sorry again for the technical difficulties. Like, this is why people love Linux so much. Now I know.
You're good. I'm having the best conversation in the chat right now.
Tell us about it
Um,
while I set this up.
well, Winnie has a great idea where we give a theme and then have people give art based on that theme and like kind of a time frame, which we have tried before and haven't had a 100% success, but I think her theme is pretty cool, which is March 2022 monthly theme, Women's History Month, and then they just post within um the channel, which would be pretty cool. Especially because that would be a great way for me to give my presentation on women in the video game industry as well. That same so yeah.
And you want to be a writer too, right?
Yeah, I don't makes me feel weird. Like being here and be like, yeah, code.
I mean, yeah, programming is rough
I
to say
mean,
the least.
it was fun. It's fun in the classes, and then all the math comes, and
Oh, I cannot wait to get into the math of this game. You're gonna okay. Oh, thank. Guess what? I fixed everything.
yay!
Okay, one more second. Now, whoops. Now I just need to copy and paste everything that I gave you guys on the tutorial into this new, brand new, sparkling goodness file that I just made.
Wait, what did you just call it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Also, how's you guys' semester going?
um, good so far, at least for me. I mean, we're going back in person, and
Oh yeah.
I'm ready for that. Because I have to face the fact that one of my classes has gives around like 3-hour lectures for each week that I recorded,
Ooh.
and I've only gotten through 2 of those weeks because they're so long.
You don't know why my math excitement got you excited? Dude, I will make you love math today. Just give me 2 seconds while I figure out all of my
I don't know.
technical difficulties.
Hearing that, that is such an awesome response. I will make you love math today and commit to that.
Today. For your money back guarantee. You're here because of the math?
Math workshop.
That okay, the next workshop that I was actually planning on doing, it was gonna be this, but like with chess. And chess has crazy math.
I think didn't somebody do that before? Who
Did
did that?
somebody?
I feel like someone did that for oh no, they didn't do that for the club. I think they did tic-tac-toe or something similar.
Oh,
Can you take the avocado off and put it in there?
you don't honestly, math for me, I never really liked it until I started making projects with it. Because, like, when you're learning math in school, that's what sucks the fun out of it because you have everything to lose. Well, you don't have everything to lose. You feel like you have everything to lose if
Yeah,
you don't perform well, you know? And all
sounds
you need.
frustrating.
Exactly. All they
I
want
don't
you to
know.
do is just,
If they were in person, my math experience would have probably gone better.
yeah.
But
Whoa.
everyone's a different kind of learner.
Yeah, that's true as well. Like I wouldn't say I'm the best at learning,
I doubt
but
that, Hunter.
I mean, okay, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not the best at learning spontaneously. Like I need time to let it sit, you know? Oops.
Yeah, I mean, you IVC with, out of curiosity.
I'm sorry?
How many certificates are you leaving IVC with? Out of curiosity, because you've
Uh,
been here a bit.
like 10?
Have you applied for them?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you need to send me that full list. I'm curious. And to respond to Jonathan, regarding in-person meetings, we actually talked about that a bit. It'll be on the intro presentation on the recording also. Uh, ICC has not given an exact response whether or not they're gonna want IVC clubs to go back in person. We haven't gotten a response. We have to wait. And if we do get the go ahead to go back in person, we'll send out a poll, see how everyone feels, and if enough people say yes, then we'll do hybrid.
We were hoping to
But
do something in person,
yeah,
but
it would be
yeah.
nice to have a bit of a change.
Okay, I think I got sorry, 1 second. Like when you think everything's fine, and then you get an unresolved error and you don't know what that means.
Yeah, again, code. It's like that's the problem with kind of teaching people code is because they're gonna be like, yes, it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be perfect when the person who's presenting it does it. But like, you can't exactly know for sure whether or not you're gonna run into some error.
And then you're presenting it in front of a
Yeah,
bunch of
you're like,
strangers.
darn it. People in videos on YouTube, they get to re-record things, so it doesn't naturally happen that way.
No. And everything was going so fine.
It's okay. If you want to post like the finished game or like give me the I'm not sure if it generates a link of any sort. I don't think so. Or a file. I think you can send me a file. If you send me a file of the finished game, I can post it in the announcement with like, you know, the meeting presentation, the recording and
Yeah.
finished file.
But I want you guys to let me show you guys my screen. Just so just so you
You're
can
good.
see. No, you have to see this. It's okay. Look at this. Like, can you see Visual Studio?
Yeah, one result, unresolved. It's not even telling you what it is. Oh wait, no, it is. I have to zoom in. Simple main, oak main. Which line is this recalling to? This is line 1. Oh,
So
that's helpful.
these errors, they're linking errors basically. Or at
Ah,
least that's what I've found. Is there something in my linker that's like, whoa, I don't know what this is? Or no, actually, see another thing with SDL that I didn't discuss yet. Like you see this gigantic mess that I typed in.
mm-hmm.
This was because of an error that I found as I was making this workshop. Apparently, SDL when you include SDL.h, it comes with a bunch of files because it's a package, it's a big library, and it has a main in there that interferes with your main, right? So what it's doing, why you have to include this, or let me actually see what happens if I don't. But in the documentation, it said you had to include this just to tell everything that you do not want your main to be messed with. Whoops. You
Watch it work.
it didn't work. Dude, if that worked, I would have been so mad. Also, plus I was like in a little bit of a rush when I did this, so let me make sure everything isn't like spelled wrong. That's another thing too about coding, like you said, everything needs to be spelled right, and I can't see for the life of me. Like you see this little small text. I don't know what this is, but if it tells you if there's something wrong with these, so it shouldn't be that. It would say like, "Hey, I can't open up this lib file." But for these, for additional library directories, you have to actually type in your entire path, or you don't have to type in the entire path. I can give you a little lesson real quick on directories. If you're sharing this with people, you can, instead of, you see how you can see all of my personal information right here? Nobody else has that because it's, independent to my computer, right?
Yeah.
But, whoops, let me cancel that because I don't know what I did. What you can do, there's this thing that will
Um,
let you find the
Hunter,
solution. Yeah?
we can only see your Visual Studio if you're clicking on something else.
Oh my god! Everything hates me. Everything that runs on ones and zeros hate me. 1 second.
That's your whole major.
Yeah. Okay. How do I share my entire screen? Just everything unadulterated.
I told you. You gotta
Oh
share your screens, and then screen one.
no! Can you see Discord?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Can you see Visual Studio?
If you aren't able to fix it though, like we can always send them, oh, this was the issue, and then they can fix it on their own. If so we don't have to keep people waiting here too long.
I'm so
You're okay.
sorry. Let me let me, you see what I'm typing in?
Yes, I can see.
This will just find the solution because Visual Studio uses like solutions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is just gonna find where the solution is instead of going in your C drive and all that. Or instead of you having to type in your C drive and all that.
Yeah, it kept
Just
telling
type
me
it.
to do that when we were downloading all the stuff for Visual Studios. Like when you were telling us to download all the SDL stuff, it taught us a little bit about property stuff, but
And note I typed it in wrong because I'm a little bit dyslexic. There we go. So all I needed to do was type in $solution dir, which stands for solution directory, and it found the entire directory, which is great. If only I can use it. What's going on? Because what else could be bugging out, I wonder? Did I not
anyone
include?
have any ideas if anyone's following along?
I'm sorry.
You're okay, Hunter. Don't worry, these things happen. That's why I would be scared to give any sort of coding. Yeah, especially with something that's this intricate, any sort of coding workshop, it's kind of hard.
It's honestly my fault because I should have made sure everything was set up before I even started.
You're good. I mean, if it still doesn't work after, then we can just, you can figure it out on your own time. You can just send in the meeting recap. Hey, this is what was wrong, so you're good.
I wish I think what you did was fantastic.
You got Professor Beckman's congrats, so
Oh,
Thank you.
that's an A if I've ever seen one.
That's better
Right?
than an
And I never give A's.
A. Really?
I got one.
I know, I was being facetious.
What did you do, SDL? I wonder if it has anything to do. I wonder if it's in like.
But anyways, guys, if you're sitting in here and you're I know this has been a really long meeting. If you gotta go, you guys can go. Well, if you want to stick around to see what the solution is, feel free.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You are good, Hunter. Don't worry. I honestly want to see the finished game when you have it like completely done.
Oh, I have it done. Want to see it?
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see that before we go.
Okay. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me close this and open it. I didn't have to reclose it and open it because I had to make it before I made the workshop so I could figure out how to do everything. This is the code.
Oh,
Look
do you
how
want
beautiful.
to scroll through the code so we can all see it before like we go so that some other people can kind of
Sure.
it's all the same though. The code's the same on both, right?
Yeah, it's exactly well. I did some cleanup because it got a kind of spaghetti like. Can you see it?
Oh, I see
Oops.
it.
This is it.
Can you send us a link to it when you're not the link, but the file when we're done with this so we can have so people can play. I just want to
Yeah.
play it.
I'm so... Okay, actually, do you want to like do this again? Like pick up where I left off?
Sure. I mean, if there's not much left to do, um, we can honestly start the next meeting with like, hey, this was what was wrong, and if you guys want to, finish it off, then this is how we finish it. If you want to do that,
Yeah.
okay.
Like,
Yeah, that
hey,
way.
just in case this happens to you. Ugh,
Okay,
what's different between this and
that sounds good. I'll but yeah, send me that, Hunter.
okay. Sorry again.
You're good.
This is why people hate Windows. So anyway,
Thank you guys.
yeah, this VC, this is all of it. Well, not well, there's a lot more than what's open. If can you see my right side? Okay, well, this is everything. Plus, don't pay any mind to these dynamically linked libraries. Another bug that you might find with SDL, for some stupid reason, it wants your DLL file to be in the same exact folder as your executional execute. You know what I'm trying to say? The
Oh
executable.
yeah, I actually ran into that problem. So I saw in a comment under the YouTube video to just drag it into that folder. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And since like there's like other more complicated things you can do, but like the easiest thing to do is just, include all of the DLLs in one file. So that's all of this ugliness right here. You see all of these but ugly files that just aren't mine. I hate that. Ugh.
It's okay. It's code. It's gonna be messy sometimes. Preferably not, but
Probably
hey, you
not.
have it all sorted. So do you?
If it's sorted, it does that automatically. Like alphabetical?
No, no, I mean like it looks yeah,
Oh,
no, I mean
yeah.
it is off it. Yeah, it does it automatically.
Like everything's in like folders and stuff.
Yeah, y'all are free to, or unless you,
You're not free to go. You're forced to stay here.
but yeah, now that we've reached the end, anyone have any questions for Hunter?
I wish I knew programming.
Thank you. Don't worry, I am going to smush this bug with the biggest boot. I will not let this take over.
You will
But
conquer.
that was beautiful. Thank you, Hunter.
You're most welcome. Sorry again. Use Linux.
Okay, thank you.
If I had just used anything else.
But
Because
the
it all went
process
wrong with my
is
computer. What?
process on Linux. How different is that? I don't have that. Like I don't
It's
use
just
Linux.
it's just a better operating system. Cause you can get like a virtual machine and but you're a writer, so I don't
Yeah.
think you'd need it.
Yeah.
Linux is just for like tech nerds.
Yeah, no, all this